Hi, Dara here. This video today, I'm going to show you how to use a tool called GTO Wizard, which was a tool myself and Barry used a lot when we were writing our new book, GTO Poker Simplified. It's the main tool I use for studying myself these days, and it's also the main tool that I use when I'm coaching students. It's a very powerful pre-solver tool that has a lot of existing solves run. The image you see on screen there is our new book, GTO Poker Simplified, and I'm also joined by Barry. Hi, Barry.
Hey, Dara, thanks for having me today.
Pleasure as always. Okay, so this is the opening screen for GTO Wizard. You get a bunch of different options. What we're going to look at in this video is we're going to look at the solutions, which is where all of the pre-existing solutions are stored. So if you look at the top left of the screen, you can see MTT, ChipEV. If we click on that, you'll see that there's actually a bunch of different options. You have different stack sizes, different formats. We have cache solutions, MTT solutions, spin and go, heads up, sit and goes. These are all sort of standalone products, so I think you have to buy them separately. But obviously, if you're an MTT player, you'll just pretty much want to look at MTTs. They are constantly adding new spots. So they have ChipEV and they have ICM. At the moment, the ICM is only for pre-flop. So, but they have post-flop solutions for ChipEV, but only for 8 max as well. They're presumably going to add for 6 max and 9 max later on, and they'll add ICM as well. As I said, they're adding all the time. But you can see they have different stack sizes as well, 100 big blinds down to 2 big blinds. In our book, we used 40 big blinds, and there was a reason for that. The reason is that's the point at which most of the interesting post-flop solutions kick in. A lot of important decisions are made in the 40 big blind zone. That's typically, fairly late into a tournament where everybody has roughly 40 big blinds. When we get shallower than that, it's mostly just going to be post-flop. You're going to be shoving or reshoving pre-flop. And when we're deeper than that, it tends to be very early in the tournament. So 40 big blinds is a very important zone for MTT players to study and understand. So we'll go ahead and look at 40 big blinds. Now you can see there again at the top of the screen, they have all the different positions under the gun, can either fold, raise to 2.3 big blinds, or go all in. I can't imagine there's going to be much going all in. You can actually see there on the chart underneath, for each hand on the grid, it also has what you do. So for example, aces, we always raise to 2.3. That's in light red, all the way down to ace 3 suited. Then ace 2 suited is in blue, which means it's a fold. We always fold. You'll notice that some hands are what we call a mix, which means that we do it some of the time, and we do one action some of the time and another action the rest of the time. So king 6 suited, for example, half the time we're going to raise with that, half the time we're going to fold that. So this is all basically pre-flop. So let's look at an actual spot. So we're going to do that by navigating the top. So under the gun, let's say they raised 2.3 big blinds. We don't have to click on it. We can say under the gun one folds. Now, if everybody folds, we don't have to do this with everybody. You can just you can just move right across to the big blind. You don't have to click them all. And when we come to the big blind and we click there, again, this is what the big blind does in with their entire range. You can see there's a small amount of shoving, but to be honest, there's so little shoving. In practice, I would ignore that. Queen Jack suited is the only hand that sometimes shoves. So the hands that are in light red are the hands that are raised. And again, you can see some hands are always raised. Obviously, aces and kings, ace, king suited, they're all being raised for value. There's some weaker hands as well in there, 9-8 suited, ace 5 off, etc., just to kind of give you board coverage, so no matter what comes. But you'll notice that the hands just below the hands that are shoved for value, like ace queen suited, or sorry, raised for value, they're never raised, because if we raised those hands, we'd be very sad if we got 4-bet. It would be a very strong hand to fold to a 4-bet, but it's not quite strong enough that we're happy to get 4-bet and have to call the 4-bet. So the hands that we use as our bluffs, for want of a better word, are lighter 3 bets our hands like king 9 suited, 9-8 suited, ace 10 off, that don't mind so much if they have to fold to a 4-bet. And also by having this range, we kind of have some semblance of board coverage. Admittedly, we're not covering the bottom of the board, but at least we have lots of hands that connect with lots of high card flops. So what we're going to do now is we're going to just call, and then we're going to enter a specific flop. And this is one we looked at in the board in the book, as I said. So at 40 big blinds deep, you can see, okay, again, it's saying 0.1% donk lead for 33% pot. I personally wouldn't bother with that. Anytime it's below 5%, that's kind of my cutoff. You want to simplify your strategy as much as possible. So you can see on this board, there's the big blind basically never does anything other than check. Okay, and I'm going to bring Barry in here. Barry, again, as I said, the 5% is kind of the cutoff. So there's a small amount of checking, but I would just ignore that for practical purposes. Can you explain to the viewers why we always bet here?
This is a concept we discuss at length in the book called range advantage. And you have range advantage when the majority of the hands in your range are very, very strong compared to that of your opponent. In this instance, as you can see, you already know we had the strong pre-flop range. We had all the pairs, we had the good ace-x, we had the good high card hands, and very little else. On a board like this, 7-4-4, whilst we don't have much in the way of 4s and 7s, although we do have pocket 4s and pocket 7s, this is such a difficult board to hit most of the time that our pre-flop range essentially retains its advantage post-flop. Not many people are going to connect with a 7-4-4 rainbow board, so as such, the pre-flop ranges stay, strong.
Yeah, that's a very good explanation. My friend Kevin Martin described this kind of flop once quite amusingly as 3 turkey sandwiches. Three cards that really don't connect all that much with either range. If they have, it's also worth noting that if they have connected, if we do somehow have the 4 or the 7, our hand is going to, well, the 4 in particular, it's likely to stay ahead. But the main point is both ranges pretty much missed this board spectacularly. So whoever had the best hand pre-flop still has the best hand. In that scenario, we're going to go ahead and bet 100% of the time, whether we've missed or hit as the under the gun player. So you can see that even hands like 9-8 suited are betting. Even hands like Queen 10 suited are betting. Everything is just going ahead and betting because the range is stronger.
Yeah.
And on the sizing, because we're betting our entire range, we usually in these spots, we just use a small size because essentially all the purpose of our bet is just to fold out the big blind's many missed hands. For example, if we click the bet 33% and we look at the big blind's response.
Oh, right. Sorry.
And you can see there's basically all the hands in blue are now folding. And that's kind of the purpose of our bet. Just to fold out all his nothings, which, if we have the 9-8 suited, it's great for us that we're getting some kings to fold, some queens to fold, etc., etc. Even if we're ahead right now with an ace high, it's still good for us to fold those hands because they have potentially 6 outs against us. So that's kind of the purpose.
Yeah, I just want to go back, Dara, to the 2 different bet sizes we've got here. So we've got 20% and 33%, both very small bet sizes, and they make up the predominant action here. We can actually do something in GTO Wizard where we can simplify this even further. I'm just trying to find it. And if we go to grouped, we can, this is something we did in the book, actually. We tried our best to stay away from maths in the book unless we really, really needed it, because we didn't want to alienate people. Often with solvers in particular, you can boil things down to small bet, medium bet, big bet, overbet. And that's what GTO.
Yeah, sometimes there's tiny bet as well.
Yeah.
Tiny bet is something typically something in the 10 to 18%.
But we, as you can see, like we have all these options to bet here, and this could be a little bit overwhelming to new people. So you can actually change this to yeah, here we go. So bet small, and that makes up the majority of range. So, you know, it could be 20%, it could be 33%, it could be something in between. It doesn't particularly.
What I would actually do in this spot is I just simplify to I'd probably just bet my entire range at 25%. And that just simplifies, because actually there's going to be little or no EV difference, and it's going to be so hard to balance. As I said, when you're working with solvers, it's Barry said, in fact, it's easy to get overwhelmed, but you always want to try and simplify the strategy. And anytime two bet sizes that are very near to each other are used a lot, you can just simplify that to using something between the two of them in all those cases. Anytime you see something is done less than 5% of the time, just ignore it. And you can see that actually when we're looking at this view, everything other than bet small is less than 5%. So that's kind of telling us that our strategy in this spot is just bet small 100% of the time. Okay, so if you enjoyed the topic that we went into today, I suggest two things. First of all, you buy our latest book where we go into the whole GTO poker approach in detail. But I also suggest you get GTO Wizard. There is a free trial version. You can play around with yourself to see if it's for you. It's obviously not for everyone, but as I said, I use it as my main study tool. If you do decide to buy it, if you use the URL on screen, you get a 10% discount.